out of Tennessee. Christmas rolled through downtown Knoxville tonight on two wheels. How about that? The 12th annual Tour de Lights bicycle ride attracted about 1,000 cyclists. Reporter Shannon Smith in the crowd and has more on what that event's popularity shows about Knoxville's growing cycling community. Shannon?
Well, on top of that, John, I think it shows how good people are at decorating their bikes. The Bicycle Light Parade gets bigger every year, and KPD says the first year they helped with the Tour de Lights, they used 12 officers. Tonight, there were 60. And from data they're collecting, Knoxville may be more of a bike-friendly city than we thought.
Christmas doesn't really get in full swing until we've come out and rode our bikes.
Bicyclists take downtown by storm every year for the Tour de Lights.
I've done this ride for about 4 or 5 years now and just always try to come up with something different.
And each year, more people join in with even more elaborate costumes.
Last year we were the Peanuts characters, so this year we decided to be the Grinch.
The Family Fun event is monitored by Lieutenant Sammy Schaefer with KPD. He organizes the security and the street closures.
The first couple of years that I remember working with Tour de Lights, it was 100 to 200 riders. Last year we had over 1,000.
He's watched as this event and cycling in general have become more popular in Knoxville.
And people are getting used to seeing more and more cyclists out.
While day-to-day cyclists aren't dressed like the Grinch toting their pups around,
Max, turn around and face the camera.
there are still a lot more people using bikes in areas heavy with car traffic. Right now, KPD officers are collecting data on cars who get too close to cyclists on the roadways.
Surprisingly, the number of violations was lower than we expected.
The study isn't finished yet, so there are no specific numbers, but Schaefer is surprised with the results so far. Knoxville may be even more bike-friendly than it seems, which for these riders is great news.
We're just really thrilled that Knoxville has such awesome events for us to do that are good family events.
I want to see someone top the Grinch costume next year. That KPD study wraps up at the end of the month, and the goal is that the results will help these officers with bike regulations. John?
What a turnout, Shannon. Thanks so much. Dozens of people are getting in the holiday spirit by going underground. Cherokee Caverns covered in thousands of lights right now for its Christmas in the Cave event. Families strolled through the decorated caves, meeting Santa and even spotting the Grinch.
All the lights, I mean, all the time that's been put in decorating this place, it's magnificent. We just like seeing the lights and
well said, young man. Tomorrow is the last day for Christmas in the Cave. It runs from 3 until 8 in the evening. Admission just